You felt ill this afternoon because you're getting better. You see, when we're healthy, we respond to the presence of the hateful with fear and nausea. You're becoming healthy, that's all. By this time tomorrow, you'll be healthier still.
From Ukraine, or when TikTok influencers say COVID can cause pain, they're laundering disinfo and we really should take note and not support their lies with our wallet, voice or vote. Oh, information wrongly is quite ferocious. It's when a hunter takes the lies and makes them sound precocious by saying German Congress or a mainstream outlet service. Information's all abuse, it's like that's atrocious.
Stop it, please, I beg you!
What's going on, everyone? Jeremy here from the Quartering, and if you've been following everything that's kind of going on behind the scenes, we talked about a couple days ago this disinformation czar. Now, I guess it's getting lost in the sauce of, this nation's mothers not being able to literally find baby formula, and our fearless leaders sending $40 billion to the black hole that is Ukraine, that will never reach the people of that country and will line the pockets of corrupt politicians. Meanwhile, $5 billion to secure our southern border was an insane amount to ask for. That's neither here nor there. Department of Homeland Security's disinformation czar turns out to be a little bit of an expert on disinformation herself. In fact, she's pushed all sorts of questions about the validity of elected leaders and other things of that nature. You can see this on Fox. Biden's disinformation czar, Nina Jankowicz's book, says she won't be silenced by mean words from men online. She claimed that some of the pushback she receives violates her basic democratic and human rights. She claims that infrastructure of the internet was built for men. In her recent book, How to Be a Woman Online, Nina Jankowicz raises concerns on the number of subjects surrounding backlash women face online, placing a great focus on how men should respond to what she has to say. We accept the mean words of women against women as simply the cost of their social media engagement, or worse, that women are expected to endure mean words and silencing in the name of free speech. It's long past time for that to change, she wrote in one passage of the book released in April. Jankowicz also suggested that negative feedback she receives from men online violates her basic democratic and human rights. It's meant to, quote, silence her and other women, including the comments from men, change how women engage online. Quote, the relentless stream of online misogyny to which I and millions of other women who deign to engage in public discourse have been subjected to sometimes rattles me, she wrote. I may have slightly thicker skin than some, but watching thousands of strangers criticize my appearance, experience, and expertise is not easy. Yeah, definitely the kind of woman I want in charge of the words that I'm allowed to say online. Definitely the type of person that's not going to take all of these mean words that have been said about her, and obviously she blamed misogyny and everybody else except for, the words that she's saying. This is definitely somebody I want employed by the Department of Homeland Security to determine whether or not the things those very same men say are disinformation. I'm sure she'll be totally objective. Watching them objectify me is not easy. Watching them deny me and other women our basic democratic and human rights is not easy. And watching these attacks be ignored as the cost of doing business in an age where online presence is all but required is enraging. Again, this is the woman who now has a job in the Homeland Security Department to oversee our information process, social media. She definitely doesn't sound like somebody with an axe to grind, does she? She definitely doesn't sound like somebody who's unhinged. Quote, to be a woman online is inherently a dangerous act, she claimed, The attacks we endure are meant to silence us. They're meant to encourage us to stay home in traditional whammon roles, not engage in politics, journalism, activism, academia, or public life more broadly. Hey, maybe you should try it. I know it's not for everybody, and I'm all for the strong, independent women who don't need no man. But I also acknowledge the fact that women have been fed this line from unhappy guidance counselors for their entire lives that they absolutely have to work and they have to get an education and they have to go into debt from college and they must put career before family, only to wake up, in their mid-40s when their egg cartons are empty and deeply regret it. Those people exist. I'm not here to say all women. I'm saying they exist. To deny that would be absurd. There are some women who never want to have kids and never want to settle down and would loathe the idea of being in a quote-unquote traditional female role. Those people exist too. But again, to speak about everybody as a monolith, to say that women's roles are to not engage in politics, I don't know, man, have you tried it, Nina? Have you tried it? Feels like women were a lot happier like in the 50s. I guess I wasn't alive then, so maybe that's not true. It just seems like families stayed together and, people were happier. People lived within their means, not under crippling debt. But I mean, you got to stick it to the man somehow, right? Living a life of being unhappy and under constant stress is definitely one way to do that. Bringing race into the equation of online misogyny, Jankowicz wrote that she said, as a straight cisgender white woman, cannot imagine how a woman who is part of another ethnically, racially, or marginalized group deals with online experiences. This is who is now with the Department of Homeland Security's Disinformation Governance Board. This is who's going to be policing American citizens, in my opinion. And certainly, definitely, you would think that somebody who's on the board against disinformation, they would be vehemently against it, right? They wouldn't spread it themselves, right? Except the Department of Homeland Security's disinformation czar, Nina Jankowicz, published Trump-Russia claims at the center of the Durham case. If the Biden administration is so concerned about disinformation, it may want to take a closer look at its own czar. Nina Jankowicz, who was recently tapped to head the Department of Homeland Security's nascent Disinformation Governance Board, had no qualms about pushing the since debunked claim in 2016 that then presidential candidate Donald Trump had some sort of ties to Russia. Jankowicz tweeted about the purported link on November 1st, one day after the connection was explored in a piece by the left-wing website Slate. Her post was initially uncovered by the Washington Examiner. "Husband texted me, 'You have news to wake up to. Never thought it would be this,' she tweeted at the time. 'Confirms our worst fears about Trump. I'm horrified.'" Jankowicz shared a tweet from Hillary Clinton that the Democratic nominee had posted one day earlier on Halloween. "It's time for Trump to answer serious questions about his ties to Russia," Clinton said in the post, which linked a photo to the campaign, captioned, "Trump had a secret server, yes. It was set up to communicate privately with Putin-tied Russian bank." Jankowicz later tweeted, "Trump had not one but two secret email servers to communicate with the influential Russian bank. Unbelievable!" Her tweet linked the Slate article about Trump claims. The origin of the Alpha Bank allegations are part of the Durham investigation. Michael Sussman, a lawyer connected to the Clinton campaign, has been charged with lying to the FBI after he handed over information to then FBI General Counsel James Baker on September 2016 that claimed to show communications between Trump and the Alpha Bank. Sussman at the time did not divulge to Baker that he was working for the Clinton campaign. His federal trial begins May 16th in D.C. federal court. I mean, this is who's going to be. It's not about disinformation. It's about making sure you're getting the right information, quote unquote. The claims about Trump and Alpha Bank are among numerous false claims spread in recent years by Jankowicz, a purported disinformation expert, including doubt about the veracity of information on Joe Biden's son's computer. The computer became a basis for a series of exposés, the Post wrote in October 2020, about the first son's overseas business interests. And isn't it interesting? We just sent $60 billion to Ukraine. $40 billion. Is there still going to be 10% for the big guy? Quote, back on the computer from heck, apparently. Biden notes 50 former NATSEC officials and 5 former CIA heads that believe the laptop is a Russian influence op. Jankowicz tweeted during the debate between Trump and Biden that month. Jankowicz continued to share Trump-Russia claims throughout 2016, including debunked information contained in former British spy Christopher Steele's infamous dossier. In September that year, Jankowicz tweeted out a statement from the Clinton campaign about Paul Manafort, who had resigned as a Trump campaign chairman the month before his lobbying work for pro-Russian Ukraine was questioned. Trump's Kremlin ties don't end at Manafort. This is serious, people. Again, this is a woman with a long and documented history of knowingly spreading misinformation who is now in charge of our information. Keep that in mind for the midterm elections as well as the 2024 elections. Keep in mind all the people that voted to send $40 billion to Ukraine last night when you vote this fall and in 2024. I hope you enjoyed this video. We'll talk to you again real soon.